Hello everyone, I welcome you all to the another episode of Alumni Corner. I am Nandakumar, Chairman of Azienteas Student Association. Today we are very happy to be here with Mr. Venkat Narayanan. He finished BCom in 2018 and currently working at IIFL Capital Service Limited. Welcome sir, please introduce yourself.
Hi Nanda, thank you for having a brief introduction about myself, and thank you for you and the entire CS department for having me here. As you told, I've completed my BCom in the year 2018. I'm a proud alumni of Vivekananda Evening College, and after that, I did a couple of MBAs. After my undergraduation, I did a couple of post graduation and landed at HDFC. That was my first job, and later I had several career shifts and changes in my professional career. And right now, as you told, I was working at IFL Capital as product head for Tamil Nadu and Kerala. Thank you. And before all this, I'm still by heart a student at Vivekananda College. I'm very proud to be one of the alumni of Vivekananda College, and that is where it all started for me. And that is how going ahead in my career, that is what have made me what I am today.
Great sir. How did Vivekananda and Department of Corporate Secretaryship had helped you to develop your career?
To start with, Vivekananda is the first place where I actually felt like having a finance as my career. So that was the base underground of Vivekananda College, helping me to where I want to be in my career going ahead in the next 5 years or 6 years. When I studied my undergraduation, finance was something which Vivekananda College have laid that foundation for me, which helped me very professionally. It has helped me really well, going with all the subjects and going with all the primary foundation of what you need for finance is where Vivekananda helped me lay the foundation for my career.
During your college days, were you confused about your career and how did you find your career?
Of course, see, while I was studying PCom, I had no idea of what I'm going to do in the future. To be frank, you don't basically get a clear cut of what you're going to do in the future. You might be studying, for an example, you might be coming from an engineering background and end up in finance. So even I had that confusion of what I'm going to do in the future. I threw everything at the wall, and in case if something stuck, is that what I'm going to go for? Was very confused at that at that point in my age and that point in my career. I was so confused, and almost every student have that sort of a confusion of what I'm going to do, where I'm going to do. But yes, even I do had that confusion in very early parts of my career.
What was your first job after college?
So actually, I got a job opportunity. I got placed in my own placements. 2018 BCom placements. I've got placed, but I did not accept the job. Instead, I started my own business. I started my own e-commerce website. I had a clothing wear brand company. I did not know at that point of time that is where I'm going to head. But I was very passionate to start my own business. I was surrounded by people who are very passionate about the same kind of ideology which we go about. And my first job after undergraduation was my own company where I founded, and it was a clothing store brand. We did it through e-commerce, and that is where I started my first work at.
Great. What was your biggest career challenge after college?
So this the main career challenge. I would start my career after post graduation. I'll talk about that because that might help. So after post graduation, I landed in a job where it was mandatory for people to have experience, but I was a fresher at that particular job. I was a fresher. So my basic difficulties was to basically cope up with the people who had experience of, let's say, 10 years or 5 years or 8 years of experience, to cope up with them and to perform in that kind of a situation, on that kind of an environment. So that was my you could say my biggest downtrend at that point of time. That is what I faced at early point of my career, but I overcame it going through.
How did you overcome?
So basically, I try to sit down with seniors. I try to sit down with people who are elder at my work. I try to get to understand that how those people work. See, basically, in case if you are going for a work, you will not be sitting in a position, or you will not be sitting at a work thinking that what you have studied is what you are going to do. That would be 100% opposite to what you would have sat down in the class and you would have studied. Would be 100% opposite to what you would have done in your work. And to understand how it works, what it works in the particular job which you do. You sit down with the people who have already have got the experience in doing that particular job. So that is where I sat down with my seniors, I sat down with my leaders, I sat down with mentors, I sat down with my managers to basically try to understand and evaluate what the job is, what am I supposed to deliver, what is my source of delivery which I need to put it in the job. And that really helped me to overcome the difficulties which I had earlier. And from there on, I shaped my career according to the needs and requirements of the environment at that particular situation, the requirements and the needs. I shaped up myself by getting insights, by getting having a good mentor at my work, and getting regular updates of what to do and when to do. This helped me in my career.
Which skill did you feel more important for long-term career development?
See, long-term career development, to be frank with you, the knowledge which you get through your books, the knowledge which you get in hand, the knowledge which you get coming across people are really important. But apart from all these important aspects as to what you learn, what you study, what knowledge you have, the communication is what I feel is really important. Unless and until you have a clear cut communication of what you want to do, where you what you are trying to communicate, that kind of communication is really important for you to have a successful career. Wherever you land at, you make sure that you communicate properly. Even the minor discomfort you feel at your work, you need to communicate it. And on a longer horizon of you working in an MNC, you working in a corporate, the communication is really important. And this particular communication is just not for finance students, this is for everybody. You want to be successful in your career, you have a strong communication. You could technically go at a pace where you would become a better person in case if you have got a really good communication.
How important are training certifications?
Of course, like certifications, trainings, everything is really important. But the important comes on the significance of what you do actually. Let's say you are right now studying and you do, let's say, 10 different kinds of certification. So do you actually know the value of those certifications? So unless and until you make sure that this is the path which I'm going to do. Let's say for an example, CFA is something which people are really interested upon these days. So CFA is kind of a charter program. So are you really into doing a charter program? Are you really into focusing on this is where I want to go? This is the finance path I need to do. People nowadays, you take Instagram, you go into socials. People will be having lots of finance gurus. Those people will not be having certifications. But again, certifications are really important when you understand the need of that particular certification. So let's say you land in a finance job, you land in a job where equity research is important, you land in a job where market research is important. For these kind of jobs, then according to that particular need, according to that particular job, you need to have a focused certifications based upon. You can't do 10 certifications and land on a let's say a research job. So what that particular job needs, what that particular company which you are applying for or you tend to go in the future needs, is what you need to understand, and then do certifications and training programs accordingly. Not just randomly do 10 training or 10 certification which might not help you. So you pick your field of what you want to do, where you want to land it, and do certifications accordingly.
What is the most common mistake currently students are doing, especially Gen Z students?
See, Gen Z students have got fear of missing out. They have got this FOMO. They create their own FOMO. See, the things which I do really good at, you may not be really excelling at that. The things which you excel at, I may not be excelling at. So just because someone in my group is doing CFA doesn't mean that I need to do CFA. Just because someone in my group have become successful at the age of, let's say, 20 or 21 doesn't mean that you need to be successful at the age of 20 or 21. So you try to understand what you want. You try to understand where your bread and butter are. You might be really good at music, you might be really good at art, you might be really good at sport, but just because someone in your own group have succeeded in let's say in getting a really high paying job doesn't mean you have got to go on the same path. So you make sure that you find what interests you, what where you could actually show, where you could actually come up with where you could actually brighten up yourself and come up really good in your own career, you build on, you take on that part and you go. And I feel Gen Z people, Gen Z students have got that fear of missing out, and they compare themselves with everybody else in the group. So you don't do that. You don't compare yourself with anybody. You're your own good. You might be successful at the age of 40. Your friend might be successful at the age of 20. But again, success doesn't mean that you have got to, it has got to come either early or late. Your success might differ from my success.
How should students handle rejections and failures in their career, earlier career?
See, rejections and failures. So I feel rejections and failure are not as like what it is meant to be. So basically, rejection is something which is part of your success. Unless and until you don't fail, unless and until you don't get rejected, there is no success. See, if let's say if I'm born successful, is there any is there any possibility to be born successful? No, there will be rejections, there will be failures. But again, all these rejections and failures are part of your success. You can't tell your success story without saying what your rejections are, what your failures are. So to overcome all these rejections, to overcome all these failures, try to take up a sport. Let's say in sport, let's say, so for me, I've taken up a sport personally. I used to be a cricketer. I played cricket. So you might be scoring a century today. Tomorrow you might be getting out cheaply on a first ball duck. So unless and until you try to handle your century and your zero at the same platter, you could not be successful. So you try to accept the rejection. You try to accept the failure. You try to get an you try to get a feedback out of it. You try to analyze where I've gone wrong. You try to have a constructive feedback where you could make yourself better. When you could do this is when you take up a sport. You take up a sport, you would have that failure, you would have that success, but the platter which you take, both your failure and success, it will be worth it in your own personal career. Just not for your personal career, even for your personal life, it could benefit really well. So take up a sport and make sure you try to handle your failure and success on an equal platter.
Great, sir. Now let's move to the quick rapid fire round, sir. Favorite subject in college?
Of course, company law.
Favorite faculty member?
Favorite faculty member, of course, Sitaraman sir. He has become an HOD now, but at that point of time in our department, I felt Sitaraman sir moved pretty well with students, and he is one of my favorite teachers.
Favorite college memories?
Favorite college memory. So this memory would not be actually an enjoyable one, but my favorite memory is when. I used to play cricket for college. I used to play cricket, so I was missing a lot of classes on my first year. I was missing a lot of classes, and I did not know that we should not use mobile phones in between classes. I used my mobile phone, and my mobile phone was caught. I got that mobile phone only after completing my third year. So that is one of my favorite memories.
What one strong message to student?
See, one strong message I could say is something which I already told you, is not to compare yourself with anybody else in the world. My parents, the environment which I grew up would not be the same environment, or would not be the same parents which you would have got. My success could not be your success. Some things where I might be very successful upon, you will not be very successful. You will be successful in your own way. So you just don't try to get. You don't have got to be the number one in your class. But at the end of the day, at the end of everything, even the last bencher could be number one in your life. So that is what I give a strong message, saying that don't have that FOMO, don't have the fear of missing out, don't compare yourself with anybody, and whatever happens today, you take it that one day at a single time, and be grateful for things which you have got. Being grateful will automatically have all the good things coming up in your life. Being grateful today will lead some success in your future. And to end upon with, I would say one quote from Bhagavad Gita: "Kadamaye chey palane edirpaakade." You do your duties and don't worry about the results. The result continues. The result will show up. For an example, the hard work which I did at my first job, that success I will not be having it on the day one of my current job, on my old job. But that success, the hard work which I put upon, have given me a great success in my career going forward. So you do your duty, don't worry about the result. The result is the byproduct of the duty which you do upon. So once you do your duty, the result comes upon. And that is my one clear message to just not CS students, but for all the students.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for sharing your valuable experience and guidance. Thank you once again.
Thank you. Thank you.